The company formerly known as Facebook is now called Meta. That was the big news last week when Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg said the social media platform was changing its company name to Meta and pivoting its focus to the Metaverse, a sci-fi-like reimagining of the internet through a virtual 3D landscape. And joining us now to help explain this emerging iteration of the internet are Blaise, assistant professor of computer science at the University of Chicago, and Rabi Ratan, an associate professor at Michigan State University's Department of Media and Information. Welcome both of you to Chicago tonight. Blaise, I'll start with you. What exactly is the metaverse?
Sure. So the metaverse is this reimagining of how we communicate by basically putting ourselves in this virtual video game world. So imagine you got to be transported into this video game world and interact with your friends, your family, your coworkers by moving around in this world, purchasing objects, and really just having a lot of your communications and convenings mediated in this metaverse.
And we're looking right now at some footage of Mark Zuckerberg in that metaverse. Rabi Ratan, what does it mean for the metaverse that Facebook is making this big bet and changing its company name to Meta?
It's actually not that surprising. They've been moving in this direction since about 2014 when they purchased Oculus, the virtual reality headset company, for over $2 billion. And in the past year, there's been a significant amount of attention in Silicon Valley on this idea of the metaverse. It's not really new. It's just the next level of the internet. It's an embodied approach to the internet. So you can wear a virtual reality headset and move around in those spaces, but you can also access it through a flat screen computer or even a phone. But it's really that level of embodiment that makes it different. And also the integration with blockchain technology. You might have heard of Bitcoin or Ethereum. Well, those technologies are at the cutting edge of this future internet. So Facebook wants to own as much of this space as possible, I imagine, because this is where people will engage in the internet in the future in the majority of their time.
And it's not just Facebook. Microsoft has invested a lot in this. Even brands like Nike are following suit with metaverse plans. So Blaise, how widely used and widespread could the metaverse be? I mean, will it be like these science fiction movies where people are living their whole lives in the virtual world?
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of that complete sense of integration. And of course, I think elements of the metaverse will become an important part of our daily lives. If we look at the rise of social media back in Facebook's first iteration 15 years ago, I mean, social media has become an important part of many people's lives. And if we look at this also, how we're working from home, communicating from home in this pandemic, there's a lot of value to technology-mediated communication. That said, being part of this virtual world has lots of downsides and concerns. And I'm not sure that I myself really want to live my whole life in a virtual world.
The real world can be real nice. Rabi Ratan, what about limitations with equipment or technology? I mean, if you want to really use the metaverse, you have to have one of those headsets. Anything else that could be limiting?
Oh, certainly. There's a literacy required in order to access some of the virtual worlds, even if you have the technology. There are limitations in terms of age, right? Some of the content is hard to access, and certainly concerns about different age groups. Kids are more malleable, so they're more likely to think what they see in virtual reality is real. But I do actually think that these technologies will increase equality and access to information in society by, the Quest is quite inexpensive. I doubt they're making a huge profit on it. They're trying to get it into as many hands as possible because they want a big piece of this infrastructure, right? A big piece of the metaverse pie. So I think there are good sides and there are some concerning sides.
And Blaise, there's a lot of concerns with Facebook and what they've done with all the information that they've gathered on their users and other technology companies as well. Will there be even more concerns now in the metaverse?
Oh, absolutely. Because as we've seen over these last 15 years, Facebook has some troubles with privacy. And in my own research, our research group focuses on privacy and security. And so if we think about the access to information Facebook has had, a lot of it's been mediated by your phone, mediated by a keyboard. And so they're picking up all these signals about who you are, personalizing things to you, typecasting you, stereotyping you based just on your words and photos you're uploading. But in this metaverse, they're capturing lots of new signals about your body, how you move through space, exactly what you're doing in all parts of life. And if this vision of we're going to live large parts of our life in a metaverse is true, well, large parts of your life will be tracked and surveilled. And so I think there's, the privacy concerns are boundless as we're moving into this world.
Robbie Rattan, how does the metaverse work? I mean, will there be a governing council if it's just like Facebook and a couple other companies that have to interact with each other? Who makes all the rules?
That's a great question. So the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, currently creates standards for the web to facilitate interoperability, the ways that websites communicate with each other. No one really owns the internet though, right? So there are big companies that own servers that connect to the internet, and the more they can draw users to their servers, the more of your attentional bandwidth, the data, as Blaze was just saying, that they own, which of course is their bread and butter. Like that is the value that they extract from users. And so in the future, I mean, I know the W3C does have a working group focused on metaverse standards. And just like we want interoperability, they're JPEG files. This is a metaphor I like to use. You can move a JPEG file from this website to that computer program very easily, right? Well, imagine on the metaverse, you can move an avatar. The same avatar looks just like you. You create it in Ready Player Me, which is a great software for thinking about this. You can create an avatar on your phone browser from a picture of yourself, and then 5 minutes later, be using it in VR chat. Or 5 minutes after that, be using it in Mozilla Hubs. These are two kind of virtual environments that are easily accessible. So that interoperability, those standards for the same file type going between places is facilitated in part by governing agencies, or at least these consortiums like the W3C, but there's also the blockchain technologies. So if you're not familiar, a blockchain is essentially a record of a transaction, a virtual transaction. So if I have a record of creating this avatar and taking it from one space to another, I can own it. I can own it like an NFT, a non-fungible token. I can own that digital piece of art. I can sell it.
And your avatar might be flying from one place to the other. Very quickly, Blazer, Facebook also announced that it's doing away with its facial recognition technology that ran afoul of the law in Illinois, basically saying that you can't collect people's biometric data without their consent. Is this a positive development, do you believe?
Yeah, I think Facebook moving away from facial recognition as used on Facebook for suggesting who might be in a photo you upload is a great development. And yeah, the regulatory environment in Illinois specifically, I think has had a large part to do with this. Of course, it remains to be seen what's going to happen, in the metaverse, because they didn't announce that in the metaverse, they're not going to be thinking
right, they might take it away from Facebook, but maybe in the metaverse, that they didn't say whether or not they would use that kind of technology in the metaverse. It's a very fascinating discussion. I'm sure we'll be having more discussions like this, but we have to leave it there for now. Our thanks to Blazer and Robbie Rattan. Thank you so much.